Good evening, I'm meteorologist Aaron Ayers, and tomorrow could turn out to be a pretty significant severe weather day for portions of the southeast United States. Let's go ahead and dive into it with the Storm Prediction Center's Day 2 outlook for Monday, March the 19th, 2018. This outlook has an area of enhanced risk outlined for northern and central Alabama, as well as portions of central Tennessee. Surrounding areas of Alabama and Georgia are under a slight risk for severe weather, and a marginal risk is in store for the Mobile region on Monday. Let's go ahead and break down these severe weather categories and show you exactly what we're thinking. I'm just going to go ahead and put a little line here between the enhanced and the moderate, and we're going to be on the left-hand side of this scale for right now. Not to say that we couldn't get a moderate tomorrow morning if conditions are right and the forecasters decide that that's necessary tomorrow morning, which I will be posting graphics, by the way, tomorrow morning on the severe weather event on Facebook and on social media. So be on the lookout for those tomorrow morning for the latest details on this severe weather outlook. But as of right now, this evening, we have an enhanced risk, numerous severe storms possible, a slight risk, scattered severe storms possible, and a marginal risk, isolated severe thunderstorms are possible. And with that, I will break down the individual categories. The enhanced risk, that is from northern Tennessee, central Tennessee, all the way down to central Alabama, including Birmingham, Gadsden, Huntsville, Decatur, and Florence regions. That's where we can see more persistent and/or widespread and a few intense thunderstorms tomorrow. Definitely severe storms in this region tomorrow. Moving ahead, slight thunderstorm outlook for the surrounding areas around the Tennessee Valley here for Auburn, Troy, Dothan, Montgomery, Greenville, Tuscaloosa, and portions of Georgia. This is where we will see short-lived and/or widespread isolated intense thunderstorms are also possible in these regions. And then we have the marginal risk, which is isolated severe thunderstorms possible with limited storms in duration and/or coverage and/or intensity. So that basically means that Mobile region, you could see a few strong storms tomorrow, and one or two of those might be severe with that. So that is the overall outlook for tomorrow, March 19th, 2018. Let's go ahead and look at the forecast text that goes with this graphic from the Storm Prediction Center and see what they're talking about and see what they're looking at. A lot of this is technical, but I've pulled out a couple of statements here to look at. And the first one is in their forecast summary, and it states, a strong tornado or two is possible during the late afternoon, and this is for the Tennessee Valley area as well. And then later on in their forecast, they have this statement: the shear of the system should be favorable for supercell formation, especially from middle Tennessee southward into north central Alabama, where hailstones of greater than 2 inches in diameter, wind damage, and a tornado threat will be possible. So with that in mind, this is looking to be a significant severe weather event for tomorrow. Let's dive into a little bit of the science. Not a whole lot I don't want to get too deep into this, but this is a forecast sounding, the thing where we send a little instrumentation attached to a balloon, we send it up through the atmosphere, and it sends back readings of information. Well, this is not a physical instrumentation package that we've sent up, because this hasn't happened yet. This is 7 p.m. Monday. This is a forecast, basically an equation that a computer runs and says, okay, if these are the conditions, I plug these into this equation, this is what I get back. This is the most likely case for what I'm expecting to see at this time on this date. So this is 7 p.m. on Monday, March the 19th, 2018. And I want to just briefly point out a few things. The sounding overall is pretty good for severe weather. Looking like a really nice sounding. The winds are clockwise turning, veering with height. They're turning clockwise with height. That is very well shown on this little diagram that we like to use. It's called a hodograph, and it shows that veering with height from the 0 to 6 kilometers is what we typically use to look at severe weather situations. And that's definitely a clockwise turn and a very sharp right hand turn on this hodograph in the 0 to 1 kilometer. And that relates to our storm relative helicity, or the spin in our storms. And that, I did want to point out, is about 410. And that's a pretty significant number because 410 is right in that sweet spot for medium strong tornadoes. So keep that in mind. That's what this thing is trying to point out to us. It's screaming over here at the probability hazard type, PDS tornado. Okay, so it's looking at variables and saying, okay, this is the most likely hazard type, and I'm going to say particularly dangerous tornado. So yeah, I'll show you where this is coming from in just a second, but I do want to point out one more thing. Wind shear is at 30 knots. That is the sweet spot for severe storms and for tornadoes as well. And then one more thing to point out, the CAPE and convective inhibition, or the energy in the atmosphere. The CAPE is the potential energy that storms could have, and the SIN, or the convective inhibition, that is the energy that storms must overcome to be able to use that energy. And if you look at that, there's not a whole lot of that. So that looks fairly easy to overcome and then get to, what, 1,300 joules of energy, almost 1,400 joules of energy. So quite a bit of potential energy for storms to use there tomorrow. And I'm going to show you now where this forecast sounding actually comes from. And it's coming from North Alabama. In fact, it's coming from eastern Madison County tomorrow evening at 7 o'clock. So the conditions look ripe for a couple of tornadoes tomorrow. Some of those could be strong in the North Alabama, Central Alabama region. You've probably seen this graphic before, or circulating around on social media in the past couple of days. It's the NAM, the North American Model, STP, Significant Tornado Parameter. And what this does is it's just a mathematical calculation of some of those variables we just looked at on a sounding. And it goes, okay, so plug all these things in, and then out comes this number that I associate with most likely area for tornadoes or significant tornadoes. And if you look, there's a big bullseye right there in central North Alabama. And so that's particularly concerning for tomorrow. I'm going to leave you with this. This is a National Weather Service Huntsville graphic, forecast graphic, and they're looking at the timing of these storms between 3 and 10 p.m. on Monday. And I think that sweet spot's going to be somewhere around 5 to 8 o'clock tomorrow night with the stronger storms. And so this is definitely something to watch. They've got the largest threat being the large hail threat tomorrow. And they also have a pretty decent tornado threat for tomorrow. But if you do notice, that hail threat is that primary threat tomorrow. But we can't rule out those tornadoes tomorrow as well. So definitely keep an eye on the weather tomorrow. Be prepared. Have your weather radio on. Make sure the batteries are in. Make sure that it's dusted off from last season, that you bring it out and you have it ready so that you can be aware of these storms coming through. Have a plan in place. Know what you're going to do, know where you're going to go, and know who you're going to contact if something does happen. So make sure that that plan is in place tonight before you go to bed. That way you're ready for tomorrow. And as always, tune to trusted local media. Choose one, I don't care who, choose one and stick with them and trust them for your local area. All right, guys, be safe, and I hope that you all have a great day and be aware tomorrow.